For women's basketball, DT, I mean, she was absolutely the best.
Yeah, she certainly was, Scott. And yeah, welcome to our coverage here on Arizona's Family Sports of this sports special. And we think about 20 years here playing all with the same franchise, Diana Taurasi with the Phoenix Mercury. It was greatness. The resume speaks for itself. I personally don't know if I appreciated it as much in the moment as I'm sitting here and waiting for her to take the stage and kind of walk through her career, because she was here every day. You were at practices, you were at games, and now as you kind of take it all in, you realize we watched the greatest player of all time.
She's one of the great athletes in Arizona sports history, so everyone calls her the GOAT. The other nickname, one of her other nicknames, was the White Mamba. She embodied so many of the characteristics that Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan did on the men's side. The brashness, the fearlessness, the cockiness, the big moments, savoring those, like her record in elimination games. She was all of that, and this is really cool today. All these people behind us in orange shirts, they're wearing special Diana shirts. Mercury employees and Phoenix Suns employees. Scorch, the mascot, just had his T-shirt gun, and he was shooting out little stuffed animal goats out here. It is a celebration.
Yeah, and the scoreboard behind us, we walked in and we're trying to figure out what it meant. I got half of it, Nick got half of it. So it says 04-24. That's the score, and that's when she played for the Mercury, the 20-year career there. And what's the other part of it? As we were trying to do the math, you can kind of see it behind us there. The clock says 3:13. That is...
So today's date,
yes.
March 13th. The period is 3, her jersey number, and then the two teams, it says thank you and D. So, yeah, really nice touches here by the Mercury.
Yep. And you just see all the employees behind us. The media has assembled behind us. She's going to make her way to the stage here very shortly. Again, has not talked to much media since announcing her retirement. She did an exclusive with Time Magazine. She was on The View. I would expect Diana Taurasi at some point to go into television. Would love to see her paired with Charles Barkley at some point. I think that'd be so much fun having the two, Arizona legends. She's got so much to say. As the leader of the team, sometimes she had to bite her tongue, but there's a great personality there that's just waiting to come out on broadcast.
I know. I'm looking forward to this because she is so smart and so funny. I thoroughly enjoyed every one of her press conferences because you never knew what she might say. And I caught her at the end of her career and obviously very established, and she kind of felt like she could say whatever at this point. She was the greatest player in the league's history. And I asked her 2 media days ago if she would go into TV. Was sitting down with her and Sophie Cunningham. Sophie said she has to. Diana said no, if anything, very limited basis. But we'll see.
I liked, what'd you ask them about technical fouls last year? What was the answer? How did that go?
Well, they broke the record, the Mercury, for technical fouls in a season as a team. Diana has the career record for technical fouls. Well, and here she comes. So
here's the ovation. All right, let's go to the podium. Diana Taurasi meeting the media after announcing her retirement from a sensational and great 20-year career.
Wow. Well, I just want to say thank all of you for being here today. Obviously I made the announcement last week, but I don't think it's felt real until just now. I haven't been in this building, I think, since the last shoot-around, right, Coach? So it's been a while to be back in here. It just instantly, all the great memories that I've had here for 20 years has just been overwhelming. People that I've known for 20 years that made all this possible for a long, long time. And, the thank you list can go on and on. But I'm pretty sure that people that have contributed to my career, to this team, to this franchise, they all know who they are. I could see it in their face. I could see it in their work every single day that they, put on that jersey, walk into this office, walk into this building. Obviously, I want to thank my family, my mom and dad, and my sister. They're just always been there, always had my back 100% in everything that I do. I don't think the last half of my career would have happened without Penny Taylor, who is the most amazing wife, partner you could ever have in life, the best mother of all time. If you would meet Leo and Isla, you would know it's a lot of work. They're so well behaved right now. I want to thank Matt and Josh. You know, after 20 years, you don't think it could get any better. But the last, year and a half, 2 years has really given me such a feeling of achievement and pride in where we've taken this team and this city and this franchise. And, just looking at Nick and Nate, where it's going in the future is just going to be limitless, what we're going to be able to do here. Vince, all you guys know Vince, he made you put on that shirt today. I told Vince, hey, I want to have a press conference and, invite the usuals. And I thought, Bickley was going to show up, a little tape recorder, and Jeff. And I walk in here today and I see all these amazing faces that have made it so special to be here. This is my home. We're all family members, and I thought really hard about maybe playing again, but I knew that in my heart, I was physically, mentally just full with the game of basketball. Everything it's given me in life, the ups, the downs, the journeys, the incredible smiles, the frowns, the championships. And it's always been with a group of people that always cared about this game. I want to thank, all the GMs in the past, the Seth Sulkas, who got me here, Annie Myers, Jim Pittman. You three have really set the standard of this franchise for a long time, and people always wanted to come to Phoenix because you guys treated this team with a lot of respect, and I was always just willing to be a part of it because I knew in hearts of hearts we always wanted to win and do it the right way, and that's, out of all the things in my career, the checklist goes on, but being in this city for 20 years, to me, is the one thing that is the most important thing in the world. Championships and points, all those things will be broken, hopefully not soon. But the character and the loyalty you show as a person every single day, that's what people care about. That's what people remember. And hopefully, if I did that in a way that can transcend the way people look at not only women's basketball, but women's sports, and how we give up our lives and sacrifice everything for the thing that we love the most. And for me, that was basketball forever. And now, looking into the future, I use all those memories and all those great lessons I learned from all these great coaches and human beings that I was lucky enough to be around. And I'll take all those lessons into the future, and we'll go from there. Open to questions.
State your name and affiliation, please.
Of Goodbye, Sports 360 AZ, congratulations on your retirement. When did you know it was for sure the time, and what got you to that spot? And
oh, well, that's a good one. After the season ended, I really wanted to take some time away and really think about what I wanted to do. I know the work that goes into preparing for a season. And I knew once that date of January 1st kind of came and went, and then it was like mid-January, and then Feb came, I knew in my heart that I didn't have it in me to put that, 4-month, preparation that I usually do going into a season. I just didn't have that in me anymore. And I was fine with that. But, I walked in here today and I told Nick I want to play again. But, I'm sure I'll have those feelings a lot, but I am so happy where I'm at. Right now, personally, now I get to really reflect on what 20 years felt like, the things that I was lucky enough to be a part of.
And you just said now you have a chance to look back and reflect. So what have the last 20 years been like for you? And if you had to sum up your career, how would you do that?
It's pretty simple. I just wanted to win. At the end of the day, I did everything because I wanted to win. I wanted to compete and I wanted to win. I didn't do it for, a little bit of fame, a little bit of money. I didn't do it for any of that. I did it literally to win and have the respect of the people around me. And I kept that small circle really small and tight. And I think that is the most important thing when you go through this journey, which is really just life. To me, it happened to be basketball. But, you have to have really good people around you. that trust you, that believe in you. And at the same time, you also have to give that back. I always, considered being here in Phoenix a two-way street. For as much as they did for me, I wanted to just pay that back twice-fold. And, I just wanted to win. That's it.
Next question. Richard?
Check, check.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to leave things better than when you came. And, when we got here in 2004, Penny was on that team. I think we had won 8 games. And the next year we doubled that win total. And then, we still struggled. We still didn't make the playoffs for the next 3 years. And then we finally made the playoffs. We won our first championship in 2007. And that was the beginning of, putting this franchise on the map. You can say you're doing all the right things and this and that, but until you win a championship, I think, that's the ultimate goal. You ask anyone who plays sports, it's to win a championship, or they should say that, which I don't know if they do anymore. That's what you should say, kids. And the whole journey is just, as it's gone on, it's just gotten sweeter and sweeter. And, looking back 20 years from now, I don't think you can tell a kid in high school now how it was 20 years ago, nor do they care. And I'm really leaning into the future of what basketball is going to look like for, not only the WNBA, but, women's sports in general. And it's amazing to finally get here. And that's why we always have to appreciate the people that came before us. All the women, all the players, all the staff, the coaches that have been in the game of basketball for decades and decades, that have set this up, that laid the foundation for, the fruits of our labor that we get to enjoy now, like this building and all these amazing things. And that's all on the backs of all these women that were here before us.
Nick?
Yeah, I think I'm still going through them. Last week we got on a plane to New York, and as we're getting on the plane, Leo says, "Is retirement sad?" And that was the longest 4-hour plane ride to New York ever. Just thinking about if it's sad. And it is sad. I am sad. I don't show it. I am, I don't like to outwardly show my sadness, but I am sad. It's the game that I played since I was 7. It's all the things that in life I always loved to do, and that was to play the game of basketball. And, I think it's more emotional for my family and my friends. They were always there. They were always behind me in everything we did. And I think they enjoyed in that journey just as much as I did. Faces I see here who have been, along the ride for the last 20 years with me, from practice players to, assistant coaches. Barry had to, take a picture of my ugly face for the last 20 years. Like, that's a lot of hard work, Goose. Bridget. Bridget went from, our starting shooting guard, assistant coach mid-year, and did it more gracefully than anyone I could ever have, thought. I mean, all these things that I learned from all these people around me, all these lessons, and I am sad. And, I'll be watching from afar and rooting on like the X Factor does every year.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
I know you talked about winning being everything, but once you win throughout your career, what have been some of the elements of the game that you started to really enjoy and learn as soon as you started winning championships?
Yeah, I mean, everything's about evolving. If you don't evolve, you die. And in the game of basketball, if you don't evolve your mind, your body, as you get older, you get left behind. And I always had this inner motor, this inner fire of trying to be better. Not better than the next person, but better than myself. I never thought I was good enough. And those are the things that made me walk into the gym every single day, earlier than everyone, stay later than everyone, work out when no one's watching. I'm still working out like I'm getting ready for the season at home. And Penny's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to be better. And that's just something that has, it's a skill that you learn. And everything in life is a learned skill. And I'm still trying to evolve day by day. But as I was going through my career, I have stages of where you can see me physically change, mentally change. And, those are the things that I really enjoyed. Oh, I never answered my favorite technical, right? It was a game at home against Minnesota. I already had one technical. And I remember a ref called a really bad foul, shocking. And I tried to run away, and I tripped over my feet and fell, and she gave me a second technical, and I got ejected. So that one, I remember. You remember Pittman? Yeah, I remember.
Hey, Diana, over here. Sorry,
Yeah.
Brendan Clean, Phoenix New Times. Between this court and the street outside the arena, there will be your presence in the city regardless of what your next chapter looks like. But curious what you expect or want these first few years of retirement to look like for you.
Oh, that's a tough question. I really don't know, to be honest. I've been so addicted to the game of basketball for the last 30 years. It's all I thought about. It's all I prepared for. It's the thing that, motivated me to become a better person every day. And the last couple weeks, I've really understood what it really means to be home and be present. I was home before, but my mind was always thinking about the next game, the next season, the next free agency signing, all the things that, when you're on a team and you really care, all the things that wake you up in the morning. And now, it's Leo and Isla and being present for Penny and my family and friends that, like I said before, would always make sure I was okay. Now it's my turn to repay all that to them. And, as far as what I'm going to do, I really don't know.
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. You've talked in the past about maybe being involved in investing in women's sports in some way, and a lot of athletes are doing that now. Mm-hmm. Is that something you could see yourself doing? And also, do you see yourself doing something with Sue and Megan in podcasting or casting that way?
Yeah, well, obviously, the WNBA, and more specifically being here in Phoenix, is something that, if it's possible, I would love to be involved in some way, somehow. I think the game is going in such a great direction. There's such energy and momentum that, it's the one thing that I know probably better than anything, and that's basketball. So hopefully I can use some of that expertise in a way to help in any way, especially here. As far as Megan and Sue, I'm sure we'll be drinking a lot of wine in the next 2-3 weeks. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot. And, what they're doing is pretty amazing too, to use their platform in making sure that these stories are being told. Sue and Megan are the best at that.
Dana.
Mike Chuck. Hi. Hey, Dana Scott, Arizona Republic.
There you are. Yeah.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Speaking of Sue and drinking wine, she mentioned on that podcast a touch more how you and her devised a short-lived plan to join forces with the New York Liberty. Just wanted you to verify that. And what made you decide to stay in Phoenix? And also, how do you think that duo would have impacted the WNBA at the time?
I believe it's called pleading the fifth on that one. You got a lot of time on your hands when you're overseas, and I'm sure we had a conversation about, we play overseas together, we play on the Olympic team together. I think at that particular time in both our WNBA careers, we were probably both cranky and unhappy on how things were going. And I think that was just the competitive side of both of us always wanting to win and always thinking, if it's a move here or a chance to win here, we'd always do it. But it was probably a short-lived conversation. We probably both didn't remember it in the morning. She probably remembers a little bit better than I did. I probably started earlier. But yeah, it would have been amazing to play with Sue. Who wouldn't want to play with the best point guard ever? I always said, if there's one player that always worried about everyone else and themselves last, it was always Sue. And, you know, that's why her teams have always been incredible.
Julia.
Congrats on a storied career. Congrats on retirement. Julia Lopez with Arizona's family. And Dee, you've had such a huge impact on the Valley, but what about the community has an impact on you? What have they been for you within the last 20 years?
It's just such a great place to live. You know, our kids go to school here now. There's just a real authenticity about this city and the people who live here, were born here, who work here. There's just this unconditional love that they have for their city. And it comes out with, obviously, being at the Phoenix Mercury games, being at the Suns games, being at the D-backs games, at the Cardinals game. There's just this pride of being from the Valley that it's close, to my heart, because for the last 20 years, I've really grown up here. And it's just been wonderful to be a part of this community in the past, and going into the future. I'd expect to be even more entrenched in the community because they do support us at every turn, every season. And it's hard being a fan. I didn't say thank you enough to the fans. To come to the games every single night, that effort, that passion that they come with must be exhausting. Because I'm a fan now, and I fan hard. And I'm exhausted sometimes. And, the X Factor has just always been amazing. Everyone who's come here in the last 20 years, whether they've played 1 season, 10 seasons, or 20 seasons, they show them the same love as if they had played here their whole career. And you don't get that everywhere. You don't get that anywhere, actually.
Rafael.
Diana, buenas tardes. Rafael Sánchez, Somos AC Sports. Diana, ¿algo más que te faltó por ganar en estos 20 años de carrera? Was there anything else that you missed to win in 20 years of career?
Do you want Spanish or English?
Spanish, please.
Spanish, okay. Bueno. Cuando jugaba 20 años en una ciudad es un orgullo muy grande. Ganamos 3 campeonatos acá, 6 medallas de oro en la Olimpiada. Me gustaría haber ganado 6 o 7 campeonatos, pero todas las temporadas son diferentes, con lesiones, con diferentes circunstancias que pasan durante las temporadas, pero creo que jugando en una ciudad por 20 años con la misma camiseta, para mí es todo. El amor que yo tengo para la ciudad, el amor que la ciudad tiene para mi familia y todas las jugadoras que han jugado acá en Phoenix. Como dije antes, la hincha que tenemos acá es como ninguna en la WNBA. Tenemos las mejores hinchas. A los fanáticos acá le encantan el básquet. Y la cosa que me gusta más que todo es que saben el partido, saben el juego. Ellos saben cuando tenemos un equipo bárbaro y va a ganar un campeonato porque ven cómo jugamos. Y esas cosas no se ven en todos los deportes, y un orgullo de estar acá por 20 años es todo.
Robin, this is the last question.
Dee.
Hey, Robin.
Hey, Dee. This morning, Matt and the Phoenix Mercury announced that you'd be going into the Mercury's Ring of Honor. What was it like to receive that phone call from him, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I had a great conversation with Matt, and whenever you talk to Matt, he just gives you this burst of energy. He just really makes you want to really represent this city and this club and this franchise. He has such love and admiration, and it's really nice to feel that after you've put in so much work. And I mean, the names up there are just legends that I looked up to, got to share the court with, won championships with, and it'll fit nicely with them.
That's it, unless you sure you want to retire?
I'll say it. Thank you guys for everything.
All right, and that's a wrap on a Hall of Fame career. A great career, the greatest career of all time in women's basketball. Mark McClune and Nick King back here at the Player 15 facility. Diana Taurasi meeting the media, talking about retirement. I don't know that I really believed that she was going to retire until she got up there and talked about it, because she said she even wanted to play walking in the gym.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I had a follow-up that we didn't get to. Maybe you can ask her, like, are we going to hear about her getting in pickup runs at, like, an LA Fitness around the Valley now? Like, is she going to continue? Because a lot of times, guys that play at the highest level, athletes at the highest level,
Right.
if they're not at that level, they can't really play with just, like, you and me playing basketball. But it seems like it'll be hard for her to completely give up the game.
Yeah, but spending time, putting time into her family. Her 2 kids were here today, her wife, Penny Taylor, and Diana's talked about coaching soccer. So we'll see if she's out there in the local soccer field, and if you are going head-to-head with Diana Taurasi, good luck. So we are kind of wrapping things up here after the Diana Taurasi news conference. And join us tonight on Give You Arizona and the Extra Point at 10:35, the Valley's only night local sports show. For much more of this, we're going to have a one-on-one conversation. But I'm sad. The emotions are sad, but also she left everything here on the floor.
Yeah, there was a great question by Julia in there, too, of asking what the community meant to her. That was really fascinating to listen to. This idea that she stayed here the entire time,
right.
And there was a conversation, maybe over wine at some point, with Sue Bird about them going to the New York Liberty about a decade ago, and she didn't want to leave Phoenix. And I think that's really cool for someone who grew up in L.A. and played in college in UConn, that this place meant so much to her that she didn't want to leave.
And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Shane Doan. Shane Doan had a chance to go chase Stanley Cups for the Arizona and Phoenix Coyotes, and he didn't. And you look at the scoreboard, and I don't know if you can see it behind. It's over here, so it's kind of where she was talking, and it says 04-24, 20 years on the date 3/13, number 3. Calls it a career. She's going to the Ring of Honor, and it's been a pleasure to be here. So much more tonight on Arizona's Family. But that's it for now. Diana Taurasi calls it a career. Scott, back to you.
I'm with you guys. It's hard to believe, but an amazing 20 years. And, boy, her resume is just so long. But DT, thanks for all the incredible memories. I'm sure the rest of your life will be just as successful. We'll continue that coverage on Arizona's Family. In the meantime, have a great day,
Powered by
everyone.
CBS 5 and 3 TV. Access Arizona's Family online anytime. Sponsored by Sweet James Accident Attorneys. When your life has been impacted by an injury, there's only one firm to call. Call Sweet James at 1-800